And you know what? I really feel like with the sin issue, yeah, that's a factor that we just don't like it. But I also think not all of us, a good number of black women have not grown up with fathers. And so I think because we haven't had fathers in our life, it's hard for us to actually have a concept of what healthy, godly leadership looks like. For me, I didn't have that. And so you gotta just go to Facebook. Sorry, I didn't have that. And so when somebody says headship, it's like, what does that even mean though? I don't know what that looks like. And so it's like you're learning as you go. But I think if we had fathers, that doesn't mean that you should just disobey the scriptures because you ain't got a daddy. But I think that's a factor. If you ain't got a daddy, then you don't even know what love and submission is, love and headship is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll do it. You can.
Yeah. So I don't know what she was saying. I was still trying to log in.
Basically, because I ain't had no daddy, it was hard.
Because
a lot of people, they don't have daddies, and so they just don't have a gauge of what loving headship is. Because I think people, they think headship and they think dominance. They hear headship and they think dictator. They don't hear headship as in love. Because the way Christ leads us is so far away from dictatorship as possible. And so I think if we recognize, I'm sorry I'm preaching your sermon, but if we recognize that what God has called you to do is beautiful, we'll be ready to submit.
Like if we don't understand Christ-like headship and Christ-like submission, we misunderstood God somewhere down the road. We really have, because when we look at the way the Father has submitted, the Son has submitted to the Father, and how Christ leads his church, we see it as beautiful things. We don't look at it as the Father is dictating the Son and he's ruling over the Son. No, we see that they're equal in essence, like I said, but they just have an order amongst them. And in marriage, it looks the same. Like I look at her as my equal. I look at her as my equal. So my leading of her is not a ruling over her, but it's us serving together, but me in a leadership role, right? Because that's what God has called us to. So what we want to do is, I don't know if you finished, babe.
I just wanted to encourage folk, because Ephesians 5, it calls women to submit, men to lead, right? And we know that what God established in Genesis, I think 1, when he established marriage, was a mystery, and this mystery is profound, and it was pointing to Christ and the church. And so I think you have to understand that this is not optional. This isn't negotiable. This is a gospel issue, because if my submission, eating asleep, if my submission mirrors the church and his headship mirrors Christ, and my marriage is to be a picture of the gospel, then I have to recognize that in my disobedience and in my unwilling to submit to the Lord first and foremost, then I am painting a picture of the gospel that is not true. And I don't want to be a person that does that. So as women made in his image, made for his glory, I think we have to get to a point where we stop giving into our flesh, to the culture, and to our fears, and actually be willing to say, God, whatever it is that you want, let me do that. And if that's submitting to my husband, it's less about him and it's more about God's glory. So we can continue to use excuses about the competence of our husbands, or we can recognize that this is a call before it's ever about competence. And so because of that, I need to love God in how I love my spouse. And so I think that's my encouragement to y'all, and to y'all, it's just like, man, either we're going to love the Lord, or we're going to let the culture lie to us about what it means to be a woman made in his image.
And my initial encouragement to men is, don't look at your weaknesses or your failures or the things that your wife has excelled in you so greatly, and think that because of those things, you are not capable to lead her. Because that's not what Christ-like leadership is. That's not what Christ-like headship is. Christ-like headship is you loving your wife like Christ loved the church. Because if your heart for her is motivated out of the love, the type of love that Christ has for the church, you are qualified to lead her.
Yeah.
Period. It's not about what you can do and what you can't do, right? Because she's called to be a helper. So in the ways that you are weak, or in the ways that you do lack, she's called to help you. And you guys are a team. Me and Jackie, we are a team. Jackie, I tell people all the time, she's way smarter than me. I don't have a problem with saying that. I prefer my wife being smarter than me. Like, you know, but just because she's smarter than me does not mean I'm not qualified to lead her, because my leadership is not contingent on my smarts, but my leadership is contingent on me being led by a holy and a righteous God, and in terms me leading her. Yeah. Right? That's what my leadership is contingent on. It's me being led by somebody who's greater than I. And she's trusting that I'm being led by the Father, and me leading her out of that. Yeah. So that's what leadership is. So man, trust in the Father. Don't trust in your abilities. Yeah. And same for women. Trust in the way that God created us. God created us out of His goodness. We have to believe that the way God created man and woman, right, the church and all of it was good. It was wise. He is wise. We are not.
Amen.
They tell me to live unashamed, but that's hard when those around you on another thing. You study thoroughly, but don't get it apparently. I'm a babe in the faith, I need my parents to parent me. Look at my pain, look at my tears I'm shedding.